Hi folks, Drew Barnes here, MLA for Cypress Medicine Hat. One of the hottest topics in politics these days is bypassing the self-appointed gatekeepers that are interfering in our markets and gridlocking our public policy. The frontrunner in the Federal Conservative Party of Canada leadership race has raised this issue repeatedly, as have several provincial UCP leadership contestants. And as you can imagine, bypassing the gatekeepers is an approach that I strongly support because it removes impediments that prevent the free market from meeting our society's and families' needs. But who are these gatekeepers? Do you have a few minutes for a quick history lesson? Following the Magna Carta in 1215, citizens of England were awarded the legal right to fully engage in trade. At first, this freedom was restricted only to the lords, and it took some time for the lower classes to fully realize such rights. Local lords would accept bribes to sell monopolies to the various guilds in their towns, and the guilds in turn would restrict every aspect of the trade, from worker training to prices to how many goods could be produced. These economic gatekeepers used their positions and influence to pick winners and losers and feather their own nests. Not only did the system gridlock the economy, but also reinforced a rigid class system that kept the peasants in their place. Of course, the innate human desire for freedom resists such tyranny. Eventually, the peasants started producing goods outside of the towns, creating what are still known as cottage industries. They sold their goods in black markets located just outside of the towns in areas known as liberties. These markets quickly became hotbeds of activity where people could do and speak as they chose. For example, William Shakespeare's plays were performed in theaters located in these liberties. The economy flourished, prosperity was born, and with it, the rigid social class structure of the day began to dissolve. And today, we have a new class of gatekeeper operating within governments at all levels, particularly in Edmonton and Ottawa. Some of the most entrenched gatekeepers are not even elected politicians, but the unelected bureaucrats who maintain their positions even when governments and parties change. The entrenchment of this bureaucratic class and the refusal of governments and elected officials to take them on has very real consequences for our society and our families. It's one reason why conservatives have failed to live up to their promise of smaller government. It's also why we've been unable to reverse the continual centralization of our economy, which has slowly progressed day by day, year by year, and generation to generation. Let me give you an example from personal experience: property rights. Now, for more than 10 years, I've been campaigning to restore the basic property rights that were taken from Albertans by government decree back in the early 2010s by the PC government. I've received widespread public support for the efforts, and during various election campaign periods, both NDP and Conservative candidates have spoken out on this issue. For example, in 2019, the UCP campaigned on approving a Property Rights Protection Act and holding a referendum to actually put property rights in the Canadian Constitution. However, since then, and at the bureaucracy's behest, the government has done everything it can to ignore and bury this issue. Folks, if we are ever going to take real steps to reduce the size of government or reverse a generation's worth of economic centralization, we need a government that is prepared to take on the bureaucracy and bypass the gatekeepers. Institutional memory and stability can be useful, but are ultimately counterproductive if we continue to allow unelected bureaucrats to subvert the democratically expressed will of Albertans. If you agree with me, I'm asking you to get active by supporting candidates and parties willing to put Albertans and Alberta first. Let's take on the gatekeepers and restore property rights. It's just another way we can ensure our province can reach its full potential as the most free and prosperous jurisdiction in North America, the best place to raise a family. Thank you.